Hello friends, David Paskin here, your Torah Tech Guy. And as your Torah Tech Guy, my goal is to share with you always great tech for your great Torah. Today I'm really excited. Unmute, as you know, was born out of having to say so many times this past year, please unmute. And what I realized over the course of the year is that telling someone to unmute isn't just a technical request. The best Jewish education is when we lift up our students' voices and allow everyone to become a teacher of their Torah. So this broadcast strives to amplify the voices of those who are unmuting their students and adding more voices to the Jewish narrative in digital space. So what do you say? Let's get started. My guest today is Evelyn Goldfinger. Evelyn is an award-winning performer, playwright, and educator. Originally from Buenos Aires, Argentina, Evelyn created Toratron, a professional Jewish educational theater ensemble that has engaged over, 10,000 spectators. Toratron stays connected online and through engaging in educational videos on its YouTube channel. She's also the author of the best-selling children's book, The Shabbat Treasure. Evelyn serves as the cantorial soloist at Beth Torah Synagogue of North Miami, just around the corner from me, and as a guest cantorial soloist of Temple Beth Israel for the high holidays. As always, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube and you have questions, unmute yourselves by popping those questions in the chat, and we'll get to as many of those as we possibly can. Evelyn, it is so good to see you.
Good to see you too, Rabbi David.
What an honor to be with you. I'm such a fan of your work. The videos that you put out, your puppets, your book, I mean, it's fantastic. Tell us what has been keeping you busy this past year? What of your work has been keeping you most busy?
What hasn't, right? Switching
Right.
to the to the online world, and all of a sudden having to do everything in virtual mode, which was pretty much great at some point, although after a whole year plus, you really miss the connection, even before that. But we were talking before we started, it was like, the girl's dream. I want to have my own TV show. I never wanted to be a YouTuber.
And now you do,
but now, yeah, and I actually study mass media. I'm a tech person in mass media, or I was in high school. I went to a technical school. So I had to revisit and relearn a lot of what I just, maybe I did a video like for an event, but it wasn't
Right.
like this. But it's nice kind of like to see anyone can do it now. And it's much more democratic in that way.
So that's interesting. Do you think of yourself as a YouTuber now?
I don't.
You don't.
I
Okay.
really don't.
And is that because you don't want to be, or?
I guess YouTubers are, I don't know, the way I say YouTuber is someone who does this for being there, and you have like an
Gotcha.
active presence, and you have like constant interactions.
Yeah.
For me, it was a way of connecting, first of all, with my family and my students during the COVID, and to reach to my people in Argentina also, because everything I do is in English, but also in Spanish, to the kids of my friends. So it was a much more, niche.
Out of necessity, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
it also
Yeah.
started funny. It started even previous to COVID. I used to, I have a younger sister who lives in Israel, and she has twins, and I wanted her to experience what Miss Eve, my character, was doing with the kids during classes. So after classes, I would shoot a video of what I had done with the puppets and the songs and the stories and send it to her. Of course, no green screen, just the sound of the camera. But that's how it actually started, as a way of being connected. And it worked.
Yeah. So what about, so you shifted, right? Because a lot of what you did before the pandemic was in person. You would do puppet shows, you would do storytelling, you would obviously do your cantorial work, and that was all with people on site in the facility with you. How is it different doing it online and in a digital context?
Well, it's a different medium. I love Marshall McLuhan quote, "The medium is the message." You cannot, you, I mean, you can, but you shouldn't, I guess, or it's not the same thing just to translate everything from one medium to the other. For instance, theater and interaction through the screens, it's a very different medium. But there are also so many other possibilities. So I guess what I'm saying is, David, you can make the most out of the tools that you have at your disposal, right? So the interaction is different, but there's still a necessity to interact. Um, you can do all these virtual backgrounds, which are really cool. But sometimes when you are in live theater, if you have a screen, it doesn't translate as well as maybe a very simple type of scenery. I'm going back to theater because that's my
Yeah.
world, right? So you have to translate. And even as a control solace, when we were streaming, and we were very lucky to have, just not just the camera there, but a person and taking care of the sound and of the frames. The way that they will shoot it, it will speak with the zooming in here or the different frames that they would use,
Yeah.
because it's a different experience and you need to really engage people with the means that you have.
So let me ask you about that, because you're actually the first that I know of theater person that I've spoken to. One of the things that I've been talking with rabbis and educators about is that in the theater, the makeup that's put on it's like caked on. I mean, it's more makeup than anybody would naturally wear in the real world, and that's so that your features are accentuated and more easily seen. And that I remember a joke on Broadway about the what was it, the screaming whisper or something like that, right?
Ah,
That
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah. When you whisper, you actually have to scream, right? You don't.
Right.
You don't
And
have to.
everything is kind of exaggerated on the stage. And what I've been telling rabbis and educators is that I feel like that we have to bring that kind of a mentality to digital teaching, davening, performing, that the standing in front of everyone in the sanctuary and just kind of standing there with our book, it just isn't enough, because the natural energy that you have in a room isn't present in digital space. And so we have to go above and beyond to create that. And tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm wrong about that. Or do you feel like that the engagement piece that you were just talking about does require us to bring a little bit more theater into what we do?
I guess it depends on who you are, because you also have different tools, but it does require you to make a different type of effort than, yes, just being one-on-one, I think, especially when working with kids or just any student. You want this time to be interesting, because it's not just um, what you're saying, it's how you're saying. They're looking at you, they're hearing you, but they're in a different space than you. So, and I'm assuming with tons of distractions available, whether that they're happening or they're just, one click away, literally, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to exaggerate. In theater, many things tend to be larger than life and are very, very technically specific, and it takes a lot of training to be amazing at it. But you can do simple things like your camera. I don't have to speak to you from this distance if I am going to whisper, right? If I'm in a stage and if I want to whisper to something, it will be, "Hey, David, hey, David, did you see?" And I'm not whispering. I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
project my voice, because I'm not doing it loud because the mic is right here. I don't
Right.
want to. But that's what I do, because the person in I don't the sitting row 20th, they have to be able to hear me. If I'm here, I can just say, "David, can you hear me if I talk like this?" But also, I can work with the image, right? And it will be, "Hey, David, hey, I'm talking to you. Do you see? Okay, listen. This is what sort of a situation, right? I
Yeah.
can play with that.
Yeah.
If you're far away and I feel like you're far away, maybe you're not paying attention to me.
Yeah.
I can be like, "David, why are you so far away? I can't hear you." I'm sitting down, but I would go like this. "Mama, you're so far away. Come back here, David. Come back." Just play with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to say that's so beautiful. But what you just said is what I meant. I think you just said it better than I have, which is that to me is kind of an over exaggeration of, hey, David, come back, and that I think is part of what's necessary. But I also want to bring out something else that you said, which is so important. You mentioned distractions, and as soon as you said that, you made me immediately think about sitting in a theater. In a theater, the lights are down, so I can only see what is lit. Everyone knows it has to be quiet. There are no phones ringing. There's not. I mean, it's almost sensory deprivation so that you can really focus on what's being presented. And now we're in sensory overload world because on this, on just this one computer alone, I've got, my email and my text messages, not to mention my phone or my watch or my tablet or my this or my that. So how do you, when you're performing for children or families, what are some of the tricks, the tips, the techniques that you use to sort of overcome that distraction, that sensory piece that's so challenging?
So theater, it is an immersive experience. We talk a lot about immersive experience. Think about the theater, and you just mentioned this. You are there, right? And everything is kind of, like you said, locked out so that you can really be in the moment and to enhance those senses that you are, that the director and the actors want you to really use. So there is light. It's just not on you, and it's not supposed to be with your phone. And maybe there is sound, but maybe it's coming from the stage and it's music and it's a text, or it's the person next to you with and spontaneous interaction like laughter or wonder, or maybe the sound of the candy bar wrapper opening. But you are there. So to make it, I think the first thing that you need to do, as I think I learned a lot from theater and try to extrapolate from that. As an actor, you need to believe your part, because if you don't believe what you're doing, what you're saying, it's really hard to convince someone else. I'm not saying that like the whole Stanislavski old school, or what it's believed to be Stanislavski anyways, that if you are having your Romeo and Juliet, and your Romeo and Juliet is dead and you have to be remembering someone who died. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being present in the moment. I think that's the key, being present. If people can feel when you are being honest and when you are thinking of something else. Today I have a show just before here, and I was wearing the big makeup. It was about Noah's Ark, colorful.
I wish you had come. I wish you had come in makeup.
I wanted to, but it was outside, and I was like
dripping.
Melting. Yeah, dripping like a candle. So I couldn't. But you can see, like I love wearing makeup and just play.
Yeah.
To get to be, or to get to experience a side of me that I don't usually wear outside, right, of me. And so, and at some point there was a tech issue, and I am there doing a one-woman show in every aspect that you can. And one of my antennas were, I was with one side of my brain was on that. And I realized I can't do that because I'm going to lose them. So I said, you know what, forget about the sound cue. And I just went on with the story. And I played again with the way I use my voice and how I invite them to interact with the story and the movement. And you bring them back.
Yeah.
Or not. Maybe it's really boring what you're doing. Or maybe they're really distracted because they need to be distracted. Again, it depends. If they are 3 years old and you've been talking for 20 minutes on Zoom, then
right.
enough, right?
Right. Yeah, the being willing, recognizing that the most important part of whatever you're sharing, I would argue in digital or physical space, is you, and not the backing tracks or the PDF or the source sheet or it's you. And that's why you and I have been talking about, what I mean when I say your Torah, right? Mm-hmm. It's you are your Torah. So it's a sharing of yourself that I think is most powerful. One of the things that I've been teaching people excuse me, around Zoom is to try and use tools that avoid having to screen share. Because screen sharing in Zoom makes you kind of disappear, right? You become a little tiny box up in the corner, and then people are just looking at a source sheet or a slide deck or whatever. And that's not why they're here. They're here for you. The slide deck's wonderful, and there are ways to incorporate that. But so yeah, and when the tech fails, it's no one came to hear the tech. They came to hear you and see you and experience with you. That's so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The show must go on
There
in
you go.
every medium.
I
And,
subscribe to that channel on YouTube, and every day I get pop-up. Do you know there's a YouTube channel called The Shows Must Go
No.
On? Yeah, it started last year when Broadway shut down, and it's they put up it's almost every day, maybe not, videos of Broadway shows, and I love it. Like at first they were doing full shows, and now they're just putting out a song or something like that. I love it. I absolutely love it.
There's no people like show people.
There you go. So tell me a little bit about, let's geek out for just a second, and then we'll go back to the really important stuff. But you mentioned that it sounds like you use backing tracks or something like that for when you're doing a performance. What tools do you use when you are performing, either on site or online, that sort of enrich your offering?
So the first thing I want to share with everybody is that the most important thing that you need, it's a plan B. And that's not any specific type of plan B. Something that in case, right? It's not about which tech, but just have something planned out. And if you can have a plan C and Z.
Redundancy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially when you're on your own, I really recommend you doing that. Because like you said, David, they're not here to see if the screen share works or to watch it, you learn how to do this. They will be patient, but to a point. So have that in mind and try to keep your calm, because that's really important, because you can transmit also when you're getting very nervous because, oh my gosh, it's not working. I promise I had the most beautiful presentation. Okay. You have to have a plan B. So very simple. When I do my shows live, I use music from whether it's my iPad, my iPhone, a speaker, mixer, wireless mic. Okay, maybe it's simple because I have.
Yeah, I was just going to say that already sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it takes me about 15, 20 minutes to set it up. It's really simple. Which I love. I have a remote that I wear around my neck, and that's like sort of my secret weapon when I'm live. And when it works, because it doesn't always work, and it's through Bluetooth, so sometimes it gets messed up, but it also brings a lot of magic because I don't have to start pushing the buttons. That's when I'm doing it live. And it depends. If I'm going to a theater and if there's a tech guy, then I can actually, let go of that part. And it's also amazing. So you can also have someone helping you. Sometimes it's not about the tech, but about the guy in the tech guy to have someone with you. Online, I've been playing a lot with Zoom. I have a green screen. This is not actually my room. Feel free, David, to hi. This is actually fabric.
And by the way, I should give credit. The image behind you is actually from Joanna Fink, who is an amazing artist. She shared a bunch of Zoom backgrounds many months ago, and I grabbed them for free. And yeah, she has beautiful stuff.
Thank you, Joanna. I love my new room. Maybe you can come and decorate it for me. It's amazing. I'm so tidy. I wouldn't know where to put my puppets. So yeah, I play a lot with Zoom, and now I'm doing shows. I've been doing a lot of shows online, and it's really nice when you get that feedback that the kids were really engaged and that it surpassed people's expectations. I'm doing stand-up comedy now. Amazing. Live from Miami.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to bring in. I have your website up, and I wanted to just share your website. Oh, that's all right. I'll do it. I'll do it another time.
It's fine. I love stand-up. It's harder in English because my brain, like for the jokes and stuff, it will go to the Spanish. I don't know if it answers that question. I'm not like I
There it
try to
is.
keep things. There it is. Thank you. That's the
I
book.
just want to say that I was looking at your website. I know it's a little small, but here's a great photo of you with the makeup, which I just love.
Oh, thank you. That actually was from one of our first Purim shows. It was a two-person show, and it was amazing. It was a really nice show because everything was about the poor imagination and storytelling. And now I have a one-woman show based on that one. But that
Yeah,
was like kind of for all an older audience. And we had so much fun doing this.
that's amazing.
I say
That's
we
great.
because I used to have an ensemble in Argentina.
Do you work?
Now I say we too because I have some friends.
You have friends?
Yeah, I brought some friends.
Who'd you bring?
Oh,
Hi, everybody. I am Maya. Hi, Mom. Mwah. I'm on TV.
yes, you are with Rabbi David.
Hi, Rabbi David. Thank you so much for having us. I am Maya, and my name is Maya because I love asking the question, Maya, which in Hebrew means, what happened?
Oh my gosh. I love the name and I love what that means. Maya, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too,
I
Rabbi.
guess maybe I should get, hold on. I didn't know we were going like, I didn't know we're doing the whole puppet thing. Wait a second, I gotta get my buddy here.
Yeah, come.
Because he comes out all the time to play with our kids. Wait, Hershey! Come here for a second. No, over
Everybody,
here.
let's call
Come here.
Hershey. Hershey!
Hey!
Ah,
Hi there!
so cute.
Are you Maya?
Do you think so?
Hershey, I mean, not the rabbi. The rabbi is old for me.
Yes, he's also married and a parent of a beautiful family.
He's a really old man.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but he really looks old. Is he a grandpa already?
Well, no. He's not a grandpa.
Are you sure? He really looks
I'm
old.
pretty sure. Yeah, it's very nice
Hershey,
to
are you on
meet you.
Facebook?
Am I on Facebook?
Yeah.
No, are
We'll
you?
catch up later.
Wait, are
I'm
you on?
on Papa's
Oh,
Facebook.
oh wait. I'm more of a Twitter guy. I'll DM you.
Okay. Yes, great, perfect.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh my lord. You want to hear something funny? Actually, this has nothing to do with anything. But the other day, one of the moms of one of our preschoolers here wrote me because I had helped something with her. Her daughter was upset, so I'd helped her, and she wrote me. She said, "You're like her Saba," which means grandfather in Hebrew. And I said, "Wait a second. I am not nearly old enough to be a Saba. How did you just put me into that category? Crazy." All right, so puppets are.
Kids will do that.
Yeah.
Kids
No,
will
this
do
was the
that.
mom. This wasn't the kid. This was the mom.
And she knows you?
Yes. Not okay. How much of tell me a little bit about the puppets because that's such an important part of what you do. How did you fall in love with using puppets?
So I first started using puppets professionally when I was in an English-speaking theater troupe in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. And there was this amazing puppeteer from Chile. He would make his own puppets and I would interact with them. And it was just me as a real person and the puppets. And I guess out of also necessity not to be just myself, with myself, interacting with myself and the audience, I really realized that the puppets have so much to give. They're my fellow actors. So when I moved to the States, I used them in my classes, my Jewish educational theater classes. It's like being a music specialist, but through theater and with Jewish content, sort of. And then when I reopened my Toratron troupe here, first a friend of mine was doing it with me. So I had a partner, but then she moved on to doing other things. And I brought back the puppets because I didn't want to be alone on stage and I needed the variety. and it wasn't enough just me becoming different characters. So yeah, and the kids really took on them, and I enjoyed making the voices so much, and especially with the videos, they came second nature to me. And they sort of have their own voice and their own, it's like an unconscious part of me. I would never say to you, David, you look like a grandfather. I don't even believe that. But to me, in her, also, to me, it's a lot about actually being a playwright. I think I am writing the script as I go through my puppets. Yeah. So as a playwright, in her voice, Maya is like 7 years old, she might see you as a Saba, right?
Right.
And when you say she's cute, she really want to make sure that it's the boy and it's not, the old guy that she's talking to.
Have you heard of Jeff Dunham?
Not yet. Tell me more.
So Jeff Dunham is a ventriloquist, and he's just fantastic. But he's an adult ventriloquist. I mean, it's not, he's not necessarily for kids. But he has a character, and his characters, sometimes will say off-color things. And one of the things that he said is that if he were to say those things, he would never get away with it. But through his characters, he can say things. So, and that you reminded me of that when you said that, I would never call you old, but yes, through her eyes, through Maya's eyes, she sees the world differently. And what you brought to me, or what came up to me when you said that, was that in some ways, the use of puppets encourages us, or reminds us maybe, to see the world through the eyes of children, because they see it very differently. This happens all the time. When I remember I went back to my childhood camp once, and I remember this camp, the lake was huge. I mean, it was like an ocean. And then I went back as an adult, and I realized it was this dinky little, it was like a puddle. We see the world differently through the eyes of children, and using puppets can allow us to do that.
So true and so beautiful. And it happened to me too. I went to see a play when I was a kid, and I became a student and friends with the people who were doing it, and they would reprise it 30 years later. And I remember that there was a scene in the bathroom, and the actor was taking a shower, and I remember that there was like the bathtub and the shower and ta-ta-ta. It was all suggested. They were all behind a thing, and I was like, oh, you changed that. Remember, there used to have the bathtub on stage with the... I'm like, no, this was always like this.
Wow.
And in my mind, right? So it's like the ocean. I love that. It was the ocean.
Yeah.
And I can see like the shamu, the big whale.
Right.
And then it's like a paddle, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. What from this past year, or the transition that you've had to make to more digital, creating more digital content, what do you want to hold on to? What has really worked for you that, this was not in my plan when I started this, but this is something that's really powerful and meaningful in my work, and I'm going to keep doing it?
Definitely the puppets, because I became more accustomed to them, and I brought a few more I can show you. You mean technically, just playing with stuff and trying new things, and also not overcomplicated things, because again, I think it's the way we make use, not of the technology or the software available to us, although this is amazing that you get to change the screens, and now we're together, and it's like a TV show. But also you have to know yourself, and sometimes you need to choose. You cannot do everything and be everything to everyone. So sometimes it's the other, when something seems so scary or so big or so many options, just leade, little by little, you see what works for you. And sometimes you don't need the whole shebang.
Absolutely.
I know it may be counterintuitive. Like you were saying, what's the best tech? I'm like,
no, I don't think it's counterintuitive at all. In fact, before we came on, let me just fix this because my head is cut off. Before we came on, I was actually working on two sort of diagrams, if you will, for simple setups. right? What if you don't want to be fancy? And so I've got, this is sort of for a frontal setup. If you want to be in front of the audience, what tools might you use? And then this one is for if you're in the round, and it's one device and a camera. I'm sorry, one device and a monitor. That's the entire setup.
Right.
Because again, the technology has to help us share our Torah, not get in the way of us sharing our Torah. Okay, so the puppets you want to hold on to. I love the trying new things, right? The experimentation. Yes.
Yeah, just play, right? More than try. It's I like the word, of course, I do, the word play, because it connects us to creative thinking, to childhood, to possibilities, to unwinding, and also, in my case, to theater, because actors play. Another thing that I'm trying to grapple with, I'm not sure I need to continue with this in my mind. I learned so much about the value of being with people and connecting with people. And yes, through media it works, but now that at least here in the States we're blessed, at least for now, because we don't know with this horrific virus, to go back a little bit to normalcy, to meet people in person. That's something that I don't want to take for granted. I think we have an amazing life, and for the short time that we are here, however long or short that might be, because the thing to me this year, I am working a lot with uncertainty. I think it applies to so much that we've been through, we are going through. Our uncertainty in this thing that can come and change your life. I'm talking about the virus. I'm also talking about here in Miami, this horrific tragedy of the building collapsing, other tragic things and other unexpected things. Life is not a certain thing, and it is scary on one side, and on the other side, it's like like a theater play. It's there and then it's gone. It's just memories, and it's precious, but it's also very fragile. So sometimes media. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that I agree with you with everything you just said. That we've been reminded of the power of being together, and I think that I've also not been reminded of, but I think the world has been awakened to how lucky we are to have the technological tools that we do. I mean, we think about the last time we had a terrible, what was it, 1917, 1918, whatever the year was, they didn't have Zoom, they didn't have phones, they didn't, I mean, the fact that and of course they had other tools that they had the technology of their time, which allowed them to, thank God, keep going. But I just feel so lucky to, when we can't be in person, when we can't be on site together, I feel so lucky to have these tools so that we can still be together in some way. What a blessing. And also, the democratization that you talked about before, I also think that's a blessing. The fact that you can produce your own videos, you can write your own book, you can, I mean, I'm just so grateful for all of those tools that we have.
Yeah, we are very lucky. Also, we live in a part of the world that allows us to do that, because it's not a reality for everyone, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So, it's a harsh reality.
What have you found from this past year that has been really difficult? What are some of the challenges that you ran into? Again, about sharing your Torah, not specifically about the pandemic, but as you're trying to teach and perform and sing, and what are some of the sort of roadblocks that you hit that you struggled with a little bit?
I'm trying to think. I've been really lucky because my students, or when I taught even for adults, they were very responsive. And sometimes maybe it's like the what is it called, the zooming out, the just being over with Zoom and with this
Oh,
medium, because it's
Zoom
not really
fatigue,
us.
Zoom
Zoom
fatigue.
fatigue,
Yeah,
yeah, which
I don't buy
doesn't
that.
apply to Zoom.
I
You
don't
don't
buy
buy
that.
that?
No, I think there's bad Zoom fatigue. I don't think there's Zoom fatigue.
So, in total honesty, now that I'm back to seeing friends and family, and it's kind of hard for me to do this again.
Really.
I really, I think I would love to keep this as a side, but I would like 80%, like if the
Yeah.
virus was really gone, 80, 90% of my life going back in person. This is, and I didn't realize this until I had the option of going out, because through the pandemic, I felt so blessed, and I still feel so blessed. I love my family, staying at home. I'm comfy. I have the technology that I need. I was able to keep doing my work, studying, and studying on Zoom. To me, it's almost like being there real time, and it's even great to have a computer, because you go to Google Translate or Safari or whatever you need to go, just with one click. So I didn't realize how much I missed it, and how much I missed of the human experience of being together. But through when I was doing this 100% and maybe not leaving my house, I couldn't feel a thing. So now I believe, and I've talked with some people, some friends that are feeling the same. It's like realizing, wow, this really messed up with my, with my world in ways that I am understanding. I think it's better, because throughout the process I wasn't like suffering it, but now it's like going outside and you have all these questions. It doesn't feel natural. We have to relearn, and this is what we're talking about with Torah, right? We read it every year, the Torah, not our but maybe our Torah talk, we revisit it because we need to relearn. And this is also what we're talking about before, that when you don't use the technology for quite a while, at least to me, it's like, oh, how now I have to do another. I want to write another book. Okay, what did I do? Right, and just have to learn how to go out, how to be in the same room, and put the phone down for a minute.
Yeah,
But
I really appreciate you sharing sort of your sense that at how blessed you feel to be able to go back on site and be within the physical presence of other people. I think that the Reform movement is encouraging people not to talk about hybrid, but talk about multi-access. And I really love that, because I'm kind of the other way. I'm actually more comfortable in this kind of a setting. And I think that there are some people out there for whom this feels more comfortable, where they maybe don't need to be quite as seen as others, or maybe they're not able to come in person. And so thinking now about making sure that we're allowing everybody, no matter what their preferences, no matter what their capacity is, to be able to share in our Torah through a multi-access approach is something that is really meaningful to me. I absolutely want us to get back to being on site together. And I want to continue to bring people from all over the world into whatever, services or davening or learning or puppeteering we're doing. I think there's such wonderful power in that.
That is true. And I love the multi-access, because I was reading a post of someone saying, I'm going to be left out again, because this was being great. I don't know what impediment the person had, but it was a great way of being, for this person, of being involved through media now that everything seemed to be going back. This person was mentioning being scared of being left out again. So yes, absolutely. Also, you have to keep in mind that I have children a lot in mind when I talk about this, not only my person. So for a child, I do believe they have
absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. Absolutely.
We were talking about camp. and
Yeah.
you can't experience. I mean, you
No,
can, but
you
it's not
can't.
the same thing.
And I have
right?
to say that, we did down here in Miami, we did last summer, we did Camp Hi-Fi, and all the synagogues got together and we offered a lot of classes, and it was great. And it was terrible because that's just not, yeah, I agree with you 100%, and I should have made that distinction also. I think for children, the being physically together is so important. Not only because of their attention spans and their engagement, but also for their own development. It's so important to be together with other people in the same physical space. For adults, maybe it can be a little more, we can be a little more flexible, but I just love that. Evelyn, I have to say, I am so grateful for your time, and I really am. I'm such a huge fan of yours. If you haven't heard Evelyn sing, by the way, the puppets are cute, and I don't want to minimize them, but if you haven't heard Evelyn sing, holy crap. I mean, she's got some pipes. So tell people, where can they find you? Where can they see you? Where can they learn from you? Where can they book you? Where can they hear you?
First of all, thank you, Rabbi David. It's my honor being here and talking. And I feel like the only thing missing is coffee that you cannot sort of do online. You have to maybe next time we'll each have our
I had
cups.
a soda. I don't know if that counts.
Well, I have water, but I'm a
And I've got a mug.
That'll be. So thank you. And coming from you, all these beautiful things that you say, like I said, you're a soul star, not only a rock star.
Thank you.
Of course, you're a rock star. You're a soul star. And yeah, we should be doing more singing together. Singing is something that really...
You can't do that.
Really,
I know. It's terrible. Yeah.
I mean, we can't do it with, but is it the same?
We can't do it, that's a technological hurdle that we haven't overcome yet. That the latency issue, so that people can sing together. That, boy, when they figure that nut out, so that people can actually sing synchronously together, that'll be huge. But you're right, that's a big problem also.
Yeah, and also it's really nice when we can actually be in the same space and feeling the vibrations and. But yes, please, people, if you're watching these tech guys, make sure you develop the correct software so that Rabbi David can see his virtual choir. I really want to do this accessibility thing.
So where can people find you?
Where they can hear me? I sing, I pray with my beautiful community at Beth Torah, BTC, wait, I have to think of Beth Torah when it comes. BTBRC.org. Every Shabbat at 7 p.m. Miami, we're streaming it through Facebook, through the world. It's YouTube. It's
Passport to Shabbat.
Oh yeah.
What's that? I'm looking at the website here. Wow, this is cool. Live Shabbat.
Live Shabbat. That's it.
Passport to Shabbat. Wow, you guys got a lot of cool stuff
we're
going
traveling online.
Yeah.
I think it's South Africa. It's fun, and there are many activities. So that's one place for the davening, or the main place, and also high holidays. I am very lucky to be able to daven, to pray with the beautiful community of Temple Beth Israel in Sunrise. I think this year we will be streaming as well. So feel free to shoot a text or ask me, and I will happily share the information. And you can find me at shalomeve.com. That's more geared towards the families, and toratron.com for shows, classes, workshops. I think that's it.
Awesome. Yes.
Go to the YouTube channel.
Yeah. What's your YouTube? Is it YouTube / like Toratron?
I think you have to search for it yet.
Okay.
It's not that
okay.
automatically yet. You have to have like certain types of
search for Toratron.
Numbers.
Great.
Toratron. Okay. Torah with an H, of course. English for the non-English speakers.
Is in Spanish though? It would be spelled with just Tora. Is that correct? Am I wrong about that? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yes, I guess because in Spanish H is mute, or at least has been for a long time. So it would, but we do have sometimes we have like a stress mark.
Like a cheek.
the
Yeah,
accentuations
okay.
because of Torah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. So definitely go to shalomeve,
Yeah.
and
I think
Torah.
that's easiest.
Awesome.
And from there, you can go everywhere else.
Beautiful. Shalom Eve. I'm going there right now. ShalomEve.com. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Thank you.
Rabbi David, it's been a pleasure.
It's
And
my honor.
I wish you well with all your endeavors. And may you be at home, whether it's live or virtual, because this is our home. It is all part of who we are.
There you go. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Do me a favor while you're visiting shalomeve.com and toratron.com. I invite you also to hop on over to torahtechguy.com. I'm posting new stuff there all the time, tips, tricks, gear. It's all for free. It's all to just help you share your best Torah. Friends, I'm actually going to Camp Ramad Darom, so I will be away for a few weeks. I'm still accessible. If anyone needs guidance or help or anything, you can go to toratechguy.com/help. I will be available for that, but we're gonna take a little hiatus from Unmute, and we'll be back, please God, in the fall. But until then, I just want to wish all of you a wonderful Shabbat Shalom and have a fantastic day. Bye, everyone. See you next time.